Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Miceli, and today we're talking about regenerative medicine or stem cell therapy. Now, many of you out there are going, what is it? How does it work? Where can I get it done? Maybe your friend had it done and they did great, so now you're looking into it. So there's a lot of things that you should know about it before you go ahead and just jump right in. So when it comes to stem cells, okay, first of all, let's talk about what a stem cell is. There's two kinds, but we're going to talk about what one is, or two sources, but we're going to talk about what one is. And what it is it's a new cell, brand new, and it doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up. It's really the best definition. So it could become anything: hair, skin, nails. It could become bone. It could become muscle, cartilage. It can become any tissue in the body, period. So it's really exciting because when you place those in an area where there's a need to regenerate tissue, it can regenerate that tissue. So two different kinds of stem cells. We've got adult stem cells. Okay, there's a lot of clinics around that are doing those. What they do is they harvest them from you, not other adults, but you, and then they put them back into your body wherever you're wanting the healing to take place. For instance, a knee. I'll refer to a knee a lot because knees are pretty common joints that wear out and that people need replaced. So in order to, you can actually avoid knee replacement now by using stem cell therapy and done in the right application the right way. So adult stem cells, they're great. The only drawback is they have to harvest them from you, and then they need to be used that same day and put back in. That's the law. That's what it must be done, and they must be minimally manipulated is the rule. So they really can't do anything to them. You can only just put them back in. So with this one, the problem is you have unknown numbers. It's not really a problem, but you don't know exactly how many cells you get or are getting or even close to what you're getting. And the older you get, which is generally people that are looking to have stem cell therapy done are not 20 years old. They're usually, we found the average age, I think it was 64 to 66 is the average age in our clinic. And as you get older, you have less available. So you have less stem cells as you get older. That's important to know because if you're going to take them from yourself, either from the fat tissue, the adipose tissue, or kind of drill or bore into the hip bone and get them out of your bone marrow, which can be a little painful for sure, or a lot painful. We don't know how many there are, and as you get older, you have less and less and less available. That's why we prefer using donor cells, okay, the donor cells, because the thing about these is we have a very good estimation of how many there are, how many millions there are in each milliliter. So we know the numbers, but the other advantage is these are from newer source, right? Because even if we get a decent amount out of the adult cells, they're still from an old source. It's not quite the same. Yeah, they're a new cell, but it's not the same as a new cell from a new source, like new life, right? Because the donor cells are taken from the donated afterbirth tissue. No babies are harmed. That's illegal in the United States. No babies are touched. Baby goes with mom. These are C-section births. The reason why is because they're planned, so there's a control over the whole birthing process so that the tissue can be easily taken and taken straight to this tissue bank and then processed. So newer source, generally more cells, and more actually is better in this case. And with the donor cells as well, a lot of people, the big question they have about them is, is that okay for me to receive them from somewhere else? And these donor cells are going to be non-immune specific, so they won't have the immune markers on the surface, so they're basically universal. And then people go, well, how are they? How do we know that they're tested and they're safe or whatever for us to receive? I myself have received 3 separate injections for different things, and I definitely wouldn't do that unless I knew that it was safe. But to answer that question, the tissue banks that process the stem cells, They go by very strict FDA guidelines on processing the tissue. Same guidelines that you would go through if you were going to receive a heart transplant or a liver transplant or something like that. It's the same process as to test. They test the donor. They don't just test mom. They test baby. They test everybody involved in the process to make sure that the product is extremely safe. The one organization that we work with with the stem cells, they had over 50,000 injections last year with no adverse reactions. It's a pretty good track record. So that's kind of how it works as far as that goes. What it looks like for someone with their joint, let's talk about that. So let's look at a joint. Again, we're going to talk about the knee, but knee joint, right? Definitely not the best artist, but when you come up here, and we're going to say that's a joint. It's an ugly joint, but it's a joint. So your kneecap would be out here on top of everything. And this knee, this space in between here, this white space, this gap right here, that's your cartilage. Okay? So as the space decreases, that's arthritis. That's the loss of cartilage, and then comes the inflammation and the pain. Okay? With the stem cells, we put them right directly in here, and when they go in there, the body will see them. Your own body will take them over and go, great, glad you guys are here. I don't know where you came from, but awesome. Got some work for you to do. How about we grow some new cartilage? We could really use some more cartilage here because we're really lacking in it. It's the reason why we hurt every day. It's the reason why we can't go up steps, get out of chairs easily, run, walk, do the things we like to do, play golf, whatever it is. This is the reason why. So we'd like to fix this. Great, glad you guys are here. Let's get to work. So the stem cells will secrete proteins and other things, but they'll also, they can divide, turn into more tissue, and they can lay down cartilage, right? And it builds up the cartilage in the joint to give you that cushion that you need, right? So in our office, we do 3 separate procedures typically for most people. We found that's where we got the best results. When we first started doing this a while ago, we realized that one injection was good, but we felt like we could get better results if we did more. So now we do 3 injections. So that's how many we do. The first one, we use your own blood for the platelet-rich plasma layer in your blood. And we take that and we spin it down, we get that layer out, we put it into the knee first. That's the first injection. What that does is get everything kind of fired up and in the healing mode, like ready to heal. But yeah, you don't have the materials that you need to kind of build, right? You got like the construction workers go in there, but they don't have any tools and they don't have anything to work with, okay? So then the second injection, we use an amnio product, and that's very rich in a lot of materials, if you will, okay? So then the third one, typically, we have a cord blood or Wharton's jelly. Okay? And the Wharton's jelly is one of the richest areas in stem cells. Remember I said more is better? Tons of them. So we got building blocks and building materials here and some stem cells. Then down here, we got the third shot that goes in, right? 1, 2, 3, 3 shots, right? So first, second, third. Okay? This, very high in stem cells, they get in there and they start to do their things, and all the raw materials and the building blocks are there for them to do what we want them to do. And the x-rays are really astounding. It's amazing to see the changes. I've really never seen anything quite this exciting in medicine ever. And I don't know if anything is going to come along that is so promising as this looks. I heard that, or I recently read they had somebody, they put stem cells in their spine that was paralyzed all limbs in a car accident, couldn't move from the neck down, kind of like Christopher Reeves was. And the guy's got movement now in a very short amount of time. Really, they did it at one of the universities. Really cool. And it was brought up Christopher Reeves, but I remember he did say before he passed away that the key to his survival or recovery, he always thought was in stem cell therapy. So pretty interesting. I believe he was right. So that's it. That's basically it in a nutshell. Applies to any joint, shoulder, ankle, wrist, hip, pretty much anything that you can inject it into. It works great. So I hope that helps. And thanks for joining us.